Das Exekution. Das Exekution. Finally. Great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, first of all, for coming to our presentation. Perfect. Allow me, first of all, to thank you for coming. Your Excellency, Dr. Oskar Wüstinger, the Austrian Ambassador in Saudi Arabia, the team members of the Austrian Embassy in Saudi Arabia, welcome. Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to this presentation. We will now talk about the vulnerabilities and how you can identify CVEs, something called the common vulnerabilities and exposures in open source applications, and this is what we will see together in this presentation. Perfect. As mentioned before, my name is Josef Hassan. I am studied and working in Austria, in Vienna, as a cybersecurity engineer and penetration tester. Before moving to the real content of the presentation, we will see our agenda for today. Apologize for the technical problems. Perfect. Our agenda will include the following points, starting with a simple introduction about myself. After that, we will go to understand what is exactly a CVE, or a common vulnerability and exposure. By that, we will see where we can find exactly open source applications which are eligible and open for testing to find vulnerabilities in it. After finding the perfect open source application, we will start to see how we can find a vulnerability in it, and when we find a vulnerability, where we can report this vulnerability to the third-party vendor so they can patch it and give us a suitable CVE runner. After that, we will report the vulnerability, see the whole process of it, and by that, we hopefully get the acceptance and publication of our CVE and vulnerability. At the end, of course, we will be free for questions or open explanations, so feel free to ask any open questions at the end of this. Great. This is just, I love to be at conferences, I love to help people in cybersecurity, and this is just a summarization where I gave a lot of talks in different conferences, as well as for universities, our companies, also government entities, so this is just a brief about the talks and webinars I have been so far. Thank you. Great, this is also just a visualization about the far way I came to Saudi Arabia to be part of this presentation today, so not really the content of this presentation. Great. To be also aware and to be able to work in cybersecurity, we need to follow and finish certain certification in the cybersecurity field. Without really mentioning the specific certification itself, I managed to finish several qualifications and certifications in cybersecurity, from inland security, for example, in the Policy Council, and also from our well-known offensive security company as well. Now coming to the main point of this presentation, the CVEs. First of all, before starting to understand what is a CVE, this is just as simple as I have put here for you so you can see the CVEs I have identified, including a CVE for Cisco or a Cisco device. And this is just something like a motivation for you that you can reach this as well. When you follow the steps we will see together in our presentation, you can reach even much more than me because it, as mentioned, very, very easy, which we will see in our presentation today. Besides that, we will also explain the CVE number and the explanation of the numbers and names you are seeing here, so don't worry, it will be clear in the slides. Great. As mentioned before, it's very easy, and this is a current situation when you test a specific application in a company. It's not secure at all, although the security is now a national security. It's, we are targeting companies, especially also countries nowadays, and therefore this kind of CVE identification and patching is nowadays a must, not a can, because it's a national security and therefore it's really, really important, but also really, really easy, as we had mentioned quickly. Great. Now coming to the point to understand what is a CVE exactly. This is what we will see in our next slide. The CVE is simply having three parts. A company called Micro Framework just decided one day to make a book. This book, it is having, like for example, when we say Ahmed identified a vulnerability in a company called XYZ, and they want to really have a book, the tester who reported a vulnerability, what is the vulnerability especially, and if the vulnerability has been patched or mitigated or not. Otherwise, you will not have a really good documentation for that. Therefore, they just thought about, we made something called the Common Vulnerability and Exposure. This is a documentation. As you can see, the first part is the prefix, the CVE. The second part is the year number, 2022, for example. And the third part is a unique number. This unique number is responsible for getting your unique vulnerability and number, which will be not available for a second time. This is unique, so you can search and identify this vulnerability or a pen testing, for example, to identify if this application is vulnerable for the vulnerability someone has reported. So this is in general the let me say the explanation of the CVE identifier and CVE number, as you can see. So for the second year, we are targeting CVE identification from open source applications. For that, we will just contact a third-party vendor, which we will see also in the next slides, responsible for giving us, if it's an applicable vulnerability, the CVE number we are searching for. Therefore, when we identify a technical vulnerability, we will contact, of course, create the proof of concept called the POC with the screenshot, description, all this kind of technical stuff. And after that, we will go to the third-party application, starting to report this vulnerability in a professional way, documented way to them, so you can, or they can internally make sure that this vulnerability is valid and you are getting the CVE number you are searching. Great. To summarize the process we are talking about here, first of all, we will find an open source application which is eligible for testing and start in, let me say, test and find a valid vulnerability in it. After that, we will start with the documentation, including all the technical information, what is the effect of this vulnerability. All this kind of information must be part of the report. And after that, we will submit it and report it to the third-party application, which we will see in some minutes in the next slides. By that, we will be automatically requesting something called the CVE, which we have described and mentioned before. And through the next process, the company, the third-party company, will be internally checking if this is a valid vulnerability or not. So if it's a valid vulnerability, which we call then they will give you the confirmation via email or through your social media account that this vulnerability is illegal, and you will receive as soon as possible a valid CVE run. By that and after that, you are welcome to publish the vulnerability on your websites, your applications, and please make sure to publish or get the confirmation of this vulnerability from the third party. Otherwise, it's a zero-day vulnerability, and you may get legal problems with this company. Great. I think this is the heart of our presentation, because a lot of people are asking where I can find an open source application which is open for testing. So this is called sourcecodester.com. This website is giving you the possibility to download open source applications from companies, from students, from old retired companies. Everything you want is located in this website, and also in different programming languages you like. So, for example, PHP, C#, C, etc. So everything you like is hosted on this application. Besides that, we have also a really wonderful documentation how you can download, install this application, set it up. All the information you need to start directly testing the application is naturally located and hosted on this website. By that you can see here simply what tools you need, like SAM, which is, for example, a local web server you run on your device to make sure the application is running on your local host. You start testing it. After that, you copy, for example, the source code, which is, for example, PHP, in a specific location, specific directory, to make sure that it's running properly. And by that, you browse a specific website or endpoint to make sure the application is running properly, and you can start testing with that application. The two last points are simply just a little bit technical, that your database or SQL database is working properly, so you can just grab the information, the login information, for example, you need for testing the application. Also, before getting to the next slide, you can see if you have different login credentials, like high privileged user, like the administrator, low privileged user, like Ahmed, for example, you can see that listed on the application on the website, so you can easily get access to the application and start browsing. Great. This is just a simple video explanation and proof of concept how we can start browsing the application and searching for working open source applications. This is exactly the website, as you can see. And when you start the video, we can see you can hover on projects, for example, search for a specific PHP project. And by that, when you get down below a little bit, you can search for different applications. For example, different management applications, CRM applications, etc. Feel free to just choose what you want to test, and by that, simply start the downloading process. When we get to that, you can see we have different screenshots, just simplifying the process, showing you the application, how it's working. Here as well, also the programming languages located and working in the application. If you have different, let me say, privileges, administrator, low privileged user, etc. And as you can see here, the most important part, the source code, for example, here, and the, let me say, process which you need to follow to make sure you install the application properly on your device and start running it on your local host or your own device. Exactly. This is just screenshot showing the current showcases in the application, but I think the whole methodology and idea behind the application and the website here is clear for you. Okay, great. Here I was showing you the vulnerability I have identified in application hosted by Cisco. And it's simply showing you that we are able to run JavaScript. And I think we have a lot of people here who are not working in the technical side, so I will just try to make it easier for you. By writing JavaScript code, you are able to steal the credentials of an administrator or any user, including the administrator, making it easy to copy the application. And we simply just have stolen the credentials of the administrator of this application here, and we're able to compromise the application and get a full account takeover, including full compromise of the application itself. When we, for example, get this vulnerability on an open source application, we want to report it and make sure that we get the sanity. That's why we have the website called vulnerability.com. Vulnerability.com is simply a third-party application or something called a CNA, standing for CVE Numbering Authority. This CVE numbering authority is allowed and having the permission to submit CVEs for you for any certified and warranty proof concept vulnerability. By that, we will simply browse the website and make sure we have the full documentation of the vulnerability we have identified to start the reporting process for this vulnerability. Great. So we have now tried, but we need to know how we can report this vulnerability. And here you can see, which we will see also in the next slide as a proof of concept video, a specific tab, the entries, and after that, the add tab. When we go to this part, you will see a blank form where we can fill up your information like the vendor. In my situation, it was, for example, Cisco, the product, the version of it, the vulnerability, and the technical, beside the managerial or general description of the vulnerability, which can send or be sent to the third-party vendor in order to make sure is it a valid vulnerability or not. This simplifies the process for the third-party vendor to make sure and also follow your steps beside the vulnerability and proof of concept screenshots, for example, or video to make it true for them to give you a valid CVE. Okay, let's assume we have identified a vulnerability, we have reported, we have sent that form, and we need to understand what is the process after we submitted the form. Well, first of all, when we submit the form, you will get an immediate and automatic confirmation from the website that your vulnerability has been saved successfully. For example, the application here, CVE requested yes, we'll see this in the next video as well, and the description of it with the username here, as you can see. So after that, we will be waiting at the time is not, it can vary between an application and the other, where you can get the CVE, but in general, when you get only the CVE you are searching for, you will get the CVE acceptance here with the CVE number, as you can see on the screen, and also the website, the description, and all the information you have included in your documentation and in your report. Here also as well, building my own account where I just submitted a specific vulnerability in a third-party application. When it has been submitted, also the file, the status has been accepted, as you can see here. and also documentation and the text URL submitted to the third-party vendor in order to make you get top quality CVE, which will be which will be seen here in the video. Exactly, let's find this on the website by going to the Encourage tab, bring that up. We can see, first of all, your username, after, of course, registering an account on the platform. This is essential so you can browse with this maze. And here you can see the form is containing all the fields we have discussed before, and the product, the version, the vulnerability, the summary. And this is especially really important. Request a CVE, otherwise you will not get a CVE assigned. This is the essential part to tap on in order to get a CVE when reporting the vulnerability, to make sure you get all the information we have seen before. This is just like visualization about the application. The different forms you have said, for example, the output, also the thing. Here you can see a specific vulnerability I have tested on that application while in a penetration test for a client. And then it's also we have a source. This source is simply a screenshot or a proof of concept video simplifying the vulnerability for the third-party vendor so they can follow you step by step what you have done and what is also the impact of this vulnerability. For me, I just uploaded the video on Mega, and Mega is a platform giving you the opportunity to send the link to another third party so they can open it and see them. The application here is simply running JavaScript code by that restriction. We'll see here that a specific input field is not allowing us to run JavaScript code. And while simply modifying the JavaScript code, we will even do on BlackHat. As you can see here, a specific dangerous request has been sent while we are trying to run our basic JavaScript code, but after that we did a specific modification in our code and made it a little bit difficult for the firewall to detect our JavaScript. We'll see right now, we'll try to save it on the website. And after that, when you come to the point, we will see that the JavaScript code has been run successfully. Exactly, and we are able to bypass the firewall and run our JavaScript code successfully. So this is simply a proof of concept how you can send a proof of concept video or screenshot to the third-party application and make sure they can follow your steps one by one or step by step. Exactly, and this was not for fun, this was the real situation on the client's environment when we reported this vulnerability, because they were really prepared. They had SOC team, Unity, everything, and they were not really prepared that they get a vulnerability inside a third-party vendor because they had a lot of compliance, GRC. For that, and just motivating you and telling you nobody takes it 100%, even if you are a private sector, etc. There is always vulnerabilities inside your company. So this is something like the motivation that we can just go beyond and find vulnerabilities in open source applications. Great. At the end of the presentation, I would love to thank you all for your attendance. I hope you have much more knowledge now how you can identify CVE. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and wish you a wonderful evening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. got okay, that quick. 1 second, I think, because I'm not very late. So I think was up by get the penny with looking up. I want to ask what you see generally used for like what do you like do in that industry and the applications? Yeah, but you put that. Well, that's a little bit beyond of this scope. I think there is a lot of output and also GitHub repository, especially for source code review. I can reconnect this time, but it won't. Well, the basic simply about understanding of coding. This is, of course, the first part. You have like SaaS tools for SaaS for automating this process, but the basics are that we need to understand coding, understand, for example, how you can mitigate against input validation if it's there or not. These are the basics. But besides that, I for myself also to search because it's every day changing, every day new sources are coming. But the basics is to understand coding and up with that trying to implement that on your own. But then like the but setup in some no so that doesn't like what I who are starting meeting but cities you put up on the stuff this is one and it proves which it was like this for. Well, that's a very good question. Normally, the creation tester assigns that sport third-party vendor makes sure that it's free scoring, so it depends on different points. It depends, of course, on the CI product, confidentiality, technicality, availability, and also the business impact of this vulnerability, like are you, for example, deleting or accessing information customer, or is it just like something where you are able to run jobs with code? So depends also, and you need better experience during the agent to doing something like the scoping and also between this rank 0 to 10 the rating of this vulnerability. So it depends on different points. I can't really mention on the vulnerability itself, but you are right. It's not really easy to give the score to a vulnerability. It needs to be the experience, not just until. Thank you, sir. Just want the upvotes. Open it up, big list, and I just think about it's sort of the CDK site form. Last, you're meaning the ADVANTAGE website, which we have mentioned? That okay. The ADVANTAGE is a third-party application that accepts all the vulnerabilities from third-party applications. It's already designed for that. Sometimes I'm also talking from my own experience. It's not accepting vulnerabilities for software as a problem, for example. For software platforms, you need a direct contact with them. But I would say 9% of the situation they can they are allowed to assign you a CVE. Other like they mentioned, like they are equal to good risk. They are saying. Well, you don't have any questions. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good evening. Thank you.